everybody. Welcome to the beautiful Sandals Grande Antigua. I'm here with Addison James.
Hi there.
We wanted to greet you and show you some small clips of our beautiful resort this morning, and Addison's going to take you on a journey throughout the rest of the week as well. But before we get started, I'm going to kick it over to our general manager, Matthew. He's got a message for everyone and welcome you all to the event this morning. Matthew, go ahead.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just check the audio quickly. Are you hearing me fine?
I hear you quite well. Yes, Matthew.
Okay, that's perfect. I think we just had the audio going out for a second. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the beautiful island of Antigua. And of course, Sandals Grande Antigua. This is called Back to the Beach program. And of course, where am I? I'm on the beach. Where else should I be? Antigua, the land of 365 beaches, one for each day of the year. Now, some have said that's an urban legend or a myth, but I can dispel that myth. Over the 7 collective years that I've been living here on the island, my daughter and I have made the island and find all 365 beaches. She's into her photography and document each one, but I can officially say today that I have a little bit of a challenge. We've managed to only find 364 beaches so far, so I need you to come with that adventurous spirit to the island of Antigua and help us find that elusive 365th beach. On the other hand, if you want to just come and kick back on the island and spend time on the number 1 beach here in Antigua, I'm standing on it now, the beautiful Dickinson Bay, and I'm going to just pan around and you'll see the beautiful beach and of course the resort in the background. If you want to just kick back and enjoy the number 1 beach here in Antigua, then the resort is nestled on the beautiful Dickinson Bay. So on behalf of close to 600 to welcome you to our beautiful slice of paradise. I'm not currently wearing a mask. Of course, I'm on the beach, but I know that when you come to the resort, you will still be able to see us smiling over the tops of our masks with our eyes. We'll see you soon in Antigua.
Thank you very much, Matthew.
Thanks, Matthew.
So I'm back here with Addison. Addison, now I know that with the COVID situation and everything going on, as travel starts to reopen up around the world, there's still a lot of people that are hesitant to go. And I kind of just want to dive into a little bit of what your experience was to get here. If it's somewhat easy. I know you come from a few different parts of the world yourself. I flew in from Texas. I'm more than happy to kind of share my story and how easy it is to get here. But kind of walk us through your day and how the arrival was, and then once you got to the resort, how we were able to make you feel safe and the room felt safe and clean and everything.
Absolutely. I think there's so many different angles to this confidence in travel that's reemerging here. And we're definitely seeing it over the last couple of months. There's so much confidence in travel. And I think there's a few good reasons for that. People are starting to realize in terms of airfare travel, how easy and how safe it is. First thing is right now, people traveling the next few months, they have the advantage of more space on aircraft typically.
Yeah.
I know my flight, your flight, we were on 2 different flights, but we had, whole rows to ourselves and everything in the world. You might have noticed on your flight, as they are on most flights as well, they have put enhanced air quality things in the aircraft now, so the air is more sanitized than ever. In fact, I was reading a recent study talking about how on an aircraft actually now, it's almost as safe as an operating room in a hospital due to the way they do the airflow on there. So I felt very safe on my aircraft, and I'm guessing probably the same on yours, James.
Yeah, absolutely. The funny thing is speaking of the aircraft alone, everyone is always worried that all these extra protocols and everything make it slower. I actually find getting off the plane is faster than it ever has been, and not because of the lack of people, but because people aren't standing on top of each other trying to force their way out of the airplane. They're patiently waiting for the row in front of them to get their luggage down and move, and then just the flow is so much faster.
Absolutely. I think the other thing as well that's great with Sandals, it's very clear what you need to do before you travel. So in a lot of times in the past, you book something random, right? You fly somewhere, you have to kind of do the research yourself. Well, with Sandals, then obviously if you're using a travel agent or a program like, My Concierge Services, we're going to make sure that's very, very clear to you. The Sandals website spells it out explicitly what, you need to travel to any given island. And because of that, very well in advance exactly what's going to happen kind of each step of the way. So not only do you have some more space, it's cleaner than ever. The airport protocols are amazing. But when you arrive in the resort as well, you immediately notice a difference. Now, here's the thing. Sandals is made for this. It's made for this. If you were going to a budget, 3-star little hotel somewhere where they have to cram as many people together, they're going to struggle. Sandals was designed for what? For couples and romance.
Yeah.
Right? So, because of this, it was already made for this. So, those of you who've been to Sandals in the past and are worried about not having the same experience when you come again, don't worry, because you know what? All it is a few extra things, and most of the things you won't even see or notice. It's the little touches in those details, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the one thing we like to say a lot of times, everyone's like, well, it's social distance, and you have those repeat Sandals guests, and they're worried about, I'm not going to get that same experience. And no, you might not get that hug when you get off the shuttle, and you might not get all the affection that you're used to getting from the staff. But we don't actually like to call it social distancing here at Sandals. We like to call it physical distancing, because the social interaction and the excitement and love, and you can see that in their eyes, you can hear that in their voice. It's still the same, in my opinion, and almost even kind of amplified because they're expressing it so much without just being able to give that simple hug. You feel so much more involved with the staff, and they want you to have a good time. And you can tell, I don't know how it was when you arrived, but when I step off that shuttle and I get here and the staff sees you, the excitement and the joy of you just being here is overwhelming. They're just so excited and welcoming to have us.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, that enthusiasm shines through whether there's a mask or no mask. Let's talk about masks for a second.
Sure.
That's a great thing to talk about. Obviously, if you're watching the video right now, you see that we're wearing masks. Now, if you're watching the video from when it's published the next, couple of months, then it's going to be kind of the same we're talking about. Obviously, if you're watching a bit later in the year or next year, definitely just get in touch. We'll kind of advise you where things are then.
Hopefully they start to...
it's just amazing and back to the old normal, which we're all hoping to get back to. But obviously, James and myself, we're sitting here wearing masks at the moment. Obviously, he's representing Sandals. I'm, representing the concierge services we do at Sandals. So we're just being, extra responsible, sitting here together with masks. But, one of the questions we get a lot is, oh man, we don't want to travel all the way to the Caribbean, wear masks the whole time.
Absolutely.
You want to talk about that for a second, James?
So as far as the guest experience, you really only need them to go in and out of a restaurant. Very similar to any kind of home situation where you're going to wear it to go in. You check in, you sit down at your table, you take it off to eat and drink. As far as walking around the pool, the guests aren't required to have them. They're encouraged in certain situations, but it really comes down to your comfort level. Now, especially with everyone needing to be tested to come here, you're coming to an environment where you know that everyone here is recently tested negative with their COVID. So you do feel that kind of, I want to use my words carefully, but almost like a freedom sense. Like you kind of get to escape this world we've been living in for the last year, and we really want to give everyone that experience here. And I feel you've gone around as a guest for the last day and a half, and I feel like you've got that sense as well. You don't see any of the guests really feel hindered by anything, and everyone constantly seems like they're having a great time.
Absolutely. The thing with this as well is, all the Sandals staff here, they are taking extra precautions for you. You'll see that in the next few months, particularly the Sandals staff, they will always be wearing their masks. That gives you the ability to, as long as you're keeping some physical distancing from the staff, to when you're on the beach or out through the resort, sitting having your meal, almost probably say 95% of situations in the resort, it gives you that freedom to kind of make your choice of what you're comfortable with. I think that's the beauty of it at the moment. On this note, James, how about we talk for a moment just about kind of rooms and what people can expect with the Platinum protocols?
Yeah, so the Platinum protocols are in place, and I know Addison's going to go through a few more videos he'll probably have where you kind of detail that, and I don't want to bore everyone with exactly what we do, but when you come to your room, and you notice this when you got in, your room is completely sanitized. And then we put a sticker over your door, and the room almost basically sits for about 24 hours before you check in. So you know that this has been completely clean. And the nice thing about these Platinum protocols that we put in, yes, we enhance the health and safety experience because of COVID, and the world had to do the same thing. But these levels of service and health and safety when it comes to the room cleaning, if you're watching this video 2 or 3 years from now, they're going to be the same. That is the new standard going forward. It's not just, we're getting through it for now. Yeah. You're always going to see these different touch points that how your room was completely cleaned and sanitized. And the seal being over the door, I definitely feel it's going to be something that we keep going forward as well.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You know, as obviously the coronavirus situation gets better here in the coming months, you'll see things like distancing and masks start to dissipate. But I think in terms of these new protocols with cleanliness, Sandals has always done an exemplary job. But what I think this has done is it's given opportunity to find ways to be more efficient and better on this and just do a better job in general. So I think these are things which you'll see going forward, which just, if anything, it's just going to enhance your stay and give you a really high quality experience.
And I think one of the things you talked about before is that Sandals was built for this. Sandals, or even the Beaches product, when you want to take families and kids. We have some of the largest square foot of space per guest that comes to any of our resorts. They're already larger. You know, you'll take a lot of resorts, and cruise ships come to mind when they do this. You put the X amount of rooms in based on the square footage to fill up the most. But what Sandals likes to do is they like to kind of scale back on the room because they want to give everyone that space, especially in the Sandals Resort, where it's about being in love again, and everything is about this romantic experience. Well, you're not going to have that if everyone's on top of each other. But, I know right now we're not at full capacity here and we've got plenty of places to go, but I've been at our resorts, obviously, at 100% full occupancy, and it still feels like you have tons of places to go. I've been at beaches with 2,000 plus people in Turks and Caicos, and there are so many places to get away that it honestly, it's unbelievable. And I think that what this pandemic has done has amplified and showcased what Sandals is really about.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've going through what we've gone through, but for Sandals to stand out the way that they have, I think it really goes a long way for us.
I think you're absolutely right. And, I think you have the new normal, the old normal, which will kind of become a hybrid in the future, as hopefully a lot of things dissipate in terms of mandatory requirements, with airfare and things. But I think in terms of cleanliness and space, these are things which are going to be long-lasting impacts for Sandals and Beaches for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, what we've talked about kind of the health and safety. People, like you said, people might be watching this a year from now.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we don't want to spend the whole time on this.
Nope.
So what I want to go into next, it's usually the first question I ask everyone. You get to your room, you check in, you realize everything's safe, you break the seal, you're in your door, you put the suitcase down, you change a little bit. What is the first thing that Addison Janes does when he's on vacation? You walk out your door to start the day. What do you do?
I think for those of you who've watched some of my videos on Mr. Travelux channel, you're probably going to know the answer because it's in almost every video, but it's a wonderful word, and that word is food, right? Food. And I know you're right there with me as well.
I am 100% with you.
Yes. That's the thing is, I'm a massive foodie, and I think no matter if you're at any of the Sandals or any of the existing beaches resorts, regardless of time of day, your opportunity to get amazing food is going to be awesome. Even for example, let's talk about that you arrive extra early for some reason. Say you catch an early morning flight, your room's not quite ready when you arrive.
Which is what I would still recommend.
Yes.
Because if you don't do that, you're almost essentially losing a day.
Yeah.
I would always try to come and get, I know that 3 to 6 a.m. flight can feel miserable at the time, but I promise you get off that plane and get here mid-afternoon, early afternoon, going to be well worth it.
Absolutely. So this is the thing, on your arrival day and your checkout day, you actually have access to the resort all day. So whenever you want to arrive and depart, that's at your discretion. Obviously, when your room's available, if you get here early in the morning, your bags can be held for you. You can start the check-in process. You go out in the resort, you can go change if you want first. You can go have some lunch, go use the pool, whatever you want. So your vacation starts immediately when you arrive, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So speaking of the food, you said you did food. Where was the first place you ate?
First place I ate. Let's see. So when I got here, I went straight for some pizza.
Okay.
Because pizza is amazing, isn't it? Yes. So one of the things I
did the same thing.
Yes, of course. You have to. With the pizzerias, with nearly every Sandals and Beaches, there are very few exceptions. You're going to find a pizzeria or multiple pizzerias in some cases. Yep. Mm-hmm. Where you can go and it's typically wood fire as it is here. It's wood fire pizza, and it's just amazing. You can customize or use a chef's menu.
They've got the chef menu with about 7, and it always happens because I've obviously, thankful for my job. I get to go to a lot of these resorts. This is what happens typically. There'll be 1 or 2 guests in front of me. They don't know I work for the company. I'm dressed down at this point, and they'll look at the menu and they're kind of like, oh, I'm not really sure. And then they reluctantly pick one of the 7 or 8 choices. And then they're still standing there. They give their room number and everything. And then I order and I've customized my order. And they're like, well, that wasn't on the menu. And then they'll usually say, oh, well, you can order, basically, you see all the ingredients we have, you can just pick and choose what you want. We make it from scratch anyways.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, and basically they turn right around and change everything about their order that they just previously put in. So it is, and it's like that really at any restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
If you see different things, it's not necessarily set menus there. Sandals is very accommodating when it comes to picking and choosing what you want at each resort. And the reason that they set that standard comes down to, you might be eating certain ways because of religious views, or allergies is a big one. The first thing they say to you when you sit down at a table is, anyone have any food allergies? And they ask that over and over and over. You're going to get that at every meal. But what they just want to accommodate, and I'm sure, Addison, you've had probably the client or two that have come up to you and say, we'd love to do a resort, but we just have so many food restrictions, they're not going to be able to accommodate us. I can tell you from personal experience, the greatest thing a chef can hear at Sandals is, there's nothing on the menu I can eat.
Yes.
Because they now get to say, you tell me what you can eat, and I will figure out a dish for you. And it's like Absolutely. A challenge to them, and they want to live up to this challenge and create something that it's like they're all of a sudden they get to be this creative chef instead of sticking to their basic menus all the time.
I think you're absolutely right. Those of you watching my videos, you've probably seen there's so many videos on the channel. We do a lot of Sandals in beaches, booking different clients, and that's a thing that I say almost every day. Actually, almost every day, someone's asking about dietary requirements, food allergy, kosher, halal, you name it. You go on and on. All of that can be catered for. No problem. In fact, the Sandals Resorts has a culinary concierge desk even, right? So
yeah,
let's talk about that. So, if you do have specific things, and I find especially if you happen to travel in a small group, some couples together, a wedding, that sort of thing, your chances of someone having something is pretty good. Right? So, as soon as you're in resort, you can go straight to the culinary concierge desk. There will be a dining expert, who can walk you through the menus, who can tell you, okay, these are going to be your best options, these restaurants, or maybe you're like, okay, on that menu, I don't know if there's something for me. They say, you know what? Well, let's hook you up with that chef, right?
Yeah,
we can get this sorted. So, if you are one of those people that has some specific dietary requests, never fear, Sandals is gonna
that's a good reason of why people should constantly work with you and book with you, because you have those connections. You can set all that stuff up before they even get
Absolutely.
to the resort. You're going to be able to call the culinary concierge. You can get a hold of me if you need to. I'll make arrangements as being your personal rep for Sandals Resorts. And if I can't figure out the answer, we will call the resort together. Mm-hmm. Working with Addison is especially when it comes to the dietary restrictions, just you have an in versus you being at home trying to do this on your own, and you don't you work your 9-to-5 job, and then how am I going to get a hold of a resort because I worked all day? That's what Addison's job is, and he has and by coming on these trips, he's meeting the general managers. He's personally meeting the sales managers, the chefs on resort. They get to know him. He builds the relationships with them. So when your trip is up and coming, everything is set and easily done. And if there's any kind of issues or concerns, Addison has an in with all of them already.
Absolutely right. A lot of it comes down to what you're saying, relationships, right? Those relationships can make a big difference going forward. There's nothing to say you can't go and book, just online if you want to. But the reality with that is, with that, you're going to be, one of many people. If you need to call up and have questions, and you're going to be going to a call center situation. If you're happy for that, it's fine. But you also have the ability to have complimentary concierge style services where, someone has those connections. So, I know most of the general managers from the different resorts. Some of my very close friends are actually in senior management, with Sandals. And we have sorted a lot of, little issues that could have become bigger issues, if they wouldn't have been sorted very, very quickly for people.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to requests, easily done.
Easily done. Now, before we dive away from the food, one thing I like to bring up is, you might have a lot of cruisers, and you might have a lot of people that go to, and I'm sure you've had this before, Addison. You'll have a client call you up to see videos, to see how invested you are in the travel world, and they'll say, I've heard a lot of things about all-inclusives, and I really want this romantic vacation. I'm going to pop the question. I need it to be over the top. I love the Caribbean style. I love what you have on your videos, but Addison, based on what I've read, I can't do. I just don't want to do the all-inclusive, because I've heard that all-inclusives are just buffet style, and the food's not up to par. And I don't want to do the cruise line, even though they're great, because if I want to do the fancy restaurant with the lobster tail, that's an upcharge for that restaurant. Can we talk a little bit about the Sandals overall food experience and why you would still recommend Sandals to someone that says they don't want the all-inclusive.
Absolutely. You know, I used to be an all-inclusive skeptic. You know,
Okay.
if we go back years before, you know, I was in the travel profession, I was an all-inclusive skeptic because I thought, you know, I have high quality standards and those can never be met. And then I discovered Sandals and Beaches, and that really changed things for me. So, you know, one term you'll see thrown around is the Global Gourmet Dining Program. Obviously, if you want to know more about that on my channel, lots of videos about that, and food is obviously mentioned in most of the resort videos as well. But, you know, with Global Gourmet Dining, there's so many aspects to that. First of all, a fun fact for you. So at Sandals, the Sandals brand particularly, at dinner time, you're not going to find buffets. Now, if you like to have a lot of food, don't worry, because you can actually order as much as you want. So some people are like, oh,
how would you know that?
I love buffets. Well, he knows that last night,
just last night.
I ate his chicken the night before. I think I got an extra lobster tail and extra steak.
And lobster, not just lobster tail.
Absolutely, got 2 whole plates. That's the thing. If you want to try everything on the menu, you can. You can try as much as you want, and that's the thing is maybe you're there with your new spouse or whatever it is, and you want to split up 4 different things between you. It's a guilt-free trip. You can do it. And it's included, and that's the beauty of it. You know, at lunchtime, maybe you're in a buffet mood. There's going to be a nice buffet for you. Obviously, right now, I would say that it is very limited season with coronavirus. Some of the buffet options have turned a la carte or are served to you at different resorts. So just keep that in mind. But those options do exist. They're high-quality buffet options. Of course, a la carte exists as well. Let's talk about breakfast and also when you get room service in.
Oh,
let's talk about that.
Listen, normally I don't get to take advantage of this, and you and I both have every day. We've talked about our room service. I think here, this particular one, it's around 7 to 11.
Yep.
And I mean, I've had the breakfast burrito and the pastries every morning. So I've had a couple of muffins, some croissants, and the breakfast burritos. And a lot of times people, the first day I got it, I was a little worried that, I just wanted a light breakfast. And you see breakfast burrito. Now, first of all, I need to clarify, I come from Texas. So if you walk into a restaurant and get a breakfast burrito, it's basically going to barely fit on this cocktail table.
Yes.
But here it is small portions. I mean, it's just kind of like a little breakfast pastry burrito, and it's still amazing. It's like just enough to get that bite. But again, like Addison says, if you want more, you just pick up the phone again and say you want more. Or you see the first day that it was a smaller breakfast, and the next day you say, I want 2 orders of the breakfast burrito. Plus, Absolutely. There's the chorizo bowl, which I believe I'm going to try tomorrow.
Yes.
There's different juices you can order. And if there's something not on there, again, when you call up on the phone, just ask them, I have this dietary restriction. Can I get this instead? Precisely. And 9 times out of 10, they're actually probably 10 times out of 10, they're going to figure out a way for you. So
absolutely, yeah. Before we jump away from food into our next topic, let's talk about one more thing with that along the room service aspect. Also, I'm going to keep my glasses off for the rest of the interview because I'm fogging up in here, so I look like a different man now. But so one thing that's very unique about Sandals. So obviously, with most of the room categories, you get room service and you have a nice room service menu and that sort of thing. But I'd say that over half of people that end up booking through this channel actually spend a little bit more to go for the ultra special kind of butler suites, which obviously can range across the thing. Now, this is something where obviously if this isn't quite your budget level, it doesn't matter. You're still gonna have amazing time. But if you're kind of debating between 2 different levels there, let's say one thing that makes butler service very unique, and this is what, James? It is the fact that you can get from any restaurant in the resort.
That is true.
Dining to your room. And so right now, unfortunately, we're on a static camera, so we can't show you the second, but we're actually sitting on a very, very large balcony at the moment.
Correct. We're on the 7th floor, overviewing the entire resort right now.
Yeah, so there here we have lounge chairs, we have a table, a dining table, there's chairs, so you can actually have a romantic private dinner set up for you by your butler from any of the restaurants in resort.
And any of whether it's the balcony, you want to do it in the living room, they'll redesign the furniture for you to make this romantic experience. Now, the one great thing I've learned a lot about the butlers over the last year is there is no cookie cutter formula.
Exactly.
There is nothing that you're going to book with Addison, say you want a butler, and you're going to say, okay, on this night, I want this kind of experience. No, Addison's going to tell you, look, I know you want all these things. what you're going to do is you're going to go there, you're going to meet your butler, and privately away from your significant other, if you're trying to do some surprises, just have a couple of conversations. You also get a butler phone that you can text or call privately as well.
Easy to sneak away for a minute, make a special request. Absolutely.
And the reason I tell you there's not a cookie cutter formula is because these butlers, they love what they do.
Yes.
First of all, it's not necessarily just a job for them. They genuinely love it. And if you give them the opportunity to be creative, when you say, I want a private dinner on the balcony, stop, that's it. That's all you need to say. Don't say, I want this chair here and I want that. No, just let them be creative. One, because they hardly like doing the same thing twice.
Yes.
Right? And by not doing the same thing twice, all they want to do is one-up what they did before. Not only do they one-up what they did before, they're basically competing against other butlers all week. They want to shine the most. And it's like, it's fun, friendly competition for them. They always want to one-up each other. And they also will help each other out. You want to do a proposal on the beach. Again, just say, around 8 o'clock tonight, I would like to do a surprise proposal for my fiance on the beach, or my girlfriend on the beach. And that's it. Just say that, because I promise you they will, with other butlers, they will figure something out that will just blow you, something you would have never thought of. Yeah. And that's an experience you can't ever. Money is kind of out of the, I wouldn't. There's no way to put a price tag on that. Yeah. And the personalized experience they get, and they say this, every butler will say this: once you go butler, you never go back.
That's right. There's a lot of truth in that. If you want to know some more what butlers can do, just drop me an email, hello@reliancedestinations.com. You'll see it on the screen right there. With that, I can also share with you some stories. So that's one of the most frequent things I get is, what exactly can a butler do? There's no cookie cutter approach, but I can send you a list of a few dozen ideas of what they actually can do for you. And then beyond that, if you were to ask a butler, what can you do for me? Their general response would be, as long as it's moral, ethical, and legal, we got you covered.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is I know you did mention, Addison, about maybe it's outside of the budget. One thing that a lot of people don't think about, especially in some of our other resorts, here we don't have them, but we've got the over the waters, and we do have the rondevals here because this is where they started, but some of the other resorts have the newer updated rondevals, and we've got the over the water bungalows. And a lot of people will look at that, I want to go on vacation for a week, Addison. Oh, and I want to stay in over the water. And you send them that quote, and they're like, oh, I don't, it's a little bit out of my budget. But what you can do, split stays. And it's something that I push to a lot of people I've talked to before, and I've seen it a lot. They'll stay in a lower category room for the first 3 or 4 nights, and then the final 3 nights stay in a butler room. Yeah. Now, what's great about that, a lot of times you'll get butler private transfers from the airport. If you do a split stay at most of our resorts now, you're still going to get, even if the second half of your stay is in that butler category, you're still going to get the private transfer when you arrive at the airport now. Absolutely. They're still going to take care of you the rest of the week. Yes, you're not going to have the butler for the first 3 nights, but they'll help you move into the room. And that in doing the split stay, I promise you, if you're going to do a split stay, and Addison will probably tell you this as well, you want that butler to be on the end of your stay, not at the beginning. Yes. You never want to go down, because you'll be like, what happened to my private service?
Yes. But I think there's a key theme with all of this we talked about, and it's the fact that most things are customizable. Right, most things customizable, and not just customizable, but most things can be made to fit perfectly for you. So, obviously there's so much information, and obviously if you go to sandals.com or beaches.com, you're going to be overloaded with information. So, this is one of the benefits. If you go in the description below, there's tons of different ways you can get in touch, and depending on how you like to interact, there's lots of options there for you. And with that, what we can do there is, based off of kind of what you desire, I'm very good at quickly kind of knowing where you are on how much research you've done. We get people all the way from, we're ready to book, we know exactly, let's go, I just want the concierge services, to like, I have no idea what's going on, help me. I can quickly identify where you are on that path, and then get you the necessary information with cutting through all the rest of the stuff, get you what you need to see in front of your eyes, so you have no pressure opportunity to kind of look and make an informed decision.
Perfect. And now, before we say goodbye to everyone, one thing I want to dive into a little bit. We talked about the dining and the advantages of working directly with you. And I know that Sandals, obviously, by working for them, that we may advertise just a little bit. You might see the odd commercial here or there, or millions of commercials. So a lot of people might see your videos, right? And then they'll see a commercial pop up on television, and they'll say, oh, you know what? I saw that guy had that YouTube video, and maybe I will book a sandal. So they'll go on sandals.com and they'll try to book this themselves, and it ends up being, like you said, overloaded with information, overwhelming. There's a lot to worry about. So let's kind of dive into, before we say goodbye, give me your reasoning of why someone should book with Addison James. What's the reason that and the experience you're going to give me that's going to make that vacation even that much more special?
Absolutely. That's a really great question, James. So first of all, there will be a link about this in the description below, which says tell me why. It's a whole page of just lists of things that I can do for you. But I'll touch on a couple of these really quickly. So the first thing is it's all about service, right? So that's one of the most important things with Sandals. And I personally believe that this doesn't start when you arrive in resort. This starts from when you're thinking about booking a resort and goes from there. Mm-hmm. And so this is what, can be done through my concierge services for you. And the best thing, James, how much does it cost to use someone like myself? Is there kind of
what, a couple $1,000?
Like 5, 6. It's free, guys.
It's free.
Oh my goodness. What? It's free. And this is the benefit of it is you can have a dedicated individual who knows these resorts like the back of their hand, all the way from the moment you're thinking about booking till when you come back, and can have someone that's there with you each step of the way. People that have booked through the channel, they know that typically I respond with 24 hours, and more often than not, I respond almost instantly, even though I shouldn't, I do. And so, because of this, instead of having to go and try to find information yourself, wait, in call centers, this sort of thing, is you have someone that can provide you direct expertise and help. Now, I'm a very transparent individual. So, James, are they going to get a better price when they come through me?
It's going to be the exact same price, but what I will say is that because you're a certified specialist in selling sandals, you are constantly updated with emails letting you know which promotions are upcoming and what's going. Now, the other thing, it does happen. People are on the internet 24/7. Addison, you do have to sleep once in a while.
Once in a while, yes.
If you are looking and you're talking to Addison about something and he gives you a price, but then magically while he's sleeping, a promotion pops up that he probably has an email but hasn't read it yet, just let him know. Just say, hey, Addison, I think that I see this promotion. It seems to be a little bit lower than the price that you told me. He'll pop it right up immediately and say, oh, I see that too. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and make some changes here. But a lot of times people will see, and this happens more times than not, people will see a promotion and it's not applicable for what they actually want. And like you said, that goes back to the fact that our website, and there's so much information on there, it's overwhelming and overloading, and it kind of steers you in the wrong directions. And that's not to mention the 2 million plus different room categories that we may or may not have that can get very confusing. And the nice thing about using a travel advisor, and I'll be honest with you, I know I work in the industry now, but I am someone up until about 5 years ago would have never used a travel advisor. I believed that I had to pay for them. I believed that I could just do it easier on myself. But what happens is now you can book these vacations up to 2 years from now. Coming from the U.S., it's a non-refundable or fully refundable deposit up to 30 days prior to departure. And you can book something 2 years from now. Now, obviously, with the pandemic that happened, our resort's a little bit lower occupancy. But as this starts to open up, we typically are sold out a year or two in advance. So now's the time to book something with Addison, even for all the way up to 2023, because you don't know what's going to happen and what's going to be available. And the promotions can change left, right, and center. And you want to secure something. Now, when you do this on your own, what ends up happening is for the next 2 years, you're stressed. You already have your 9-to-5 job. You're stressed out. You're already stressed out about your life. The vacation is supposed to be exciting, fun. And I say this to a lot of people, Addison. Your vacation can start the moment you step off the shuttle here. And I promise you it's going to be phenomenal and you're going to have the time of your life. But your vacation can start almost up to 2 years earlier from the moment you start speaking to Addison. But he's going to worry about when your deposit's due, when this is due, when your flight, what are the requirements for COVID? God forbid there's another pandemic. What's the requirements for that? And if something happens that is not good, instead of you having to be on the phone lines for hours and hours at a time, whether it's your flights, whether it's your resort that you chose, all you have to do is call Addison. He's going to say, relax, I'll take care of it. That's what he's going to do. He's going to spend hours on the phone for you.
Yes.
So all that stress is gone. And instead of worrying about your vacation upcoming, you get to spend the next year to 2 years excited about your vacation. And it's this light at the end of the tunnel you get to look for instead of just another added stress to your day.
Yeah. But one thing with this as well is those who have booked through me before will know this, that one of the things that we do now, here with Reliant Destinations is as soon as we have a booking number for you, you're going to get access to an information hub. So not only are you going to get access to every single link and thing that you would if you would book directly yourself online, but you're going to get a whole info hub. On this info hub, you're going to have everything streamlined. So you're only going to have to keep two things: your booking number and this link. That's all you need to keep, and everything else will be on this info hub for you. Things like the link if you want to make a deposit payment, if you want to check how much is left, if you want to go and see what excursions available, if you want to book the excursion on the spot, if you want to contact me but want a different way, links to do that, a whole frequently asked questions section.
Oh, that's perfect.
Dozens of things on there, all the things that I get asked most frequently that you can have a look at, and things you probably don't even know you want to ask yet. As there are two quick things on this before we kind of wrap up here. So the first thing is, a lot of people don't know, but I can actually hold a room for you for free for most days of the year, with very few exceptions. So if you're on this kind of the edge of the line and like, you know what, I think this is the one, but I don't know, and there's one room left. You know what? I can hold this for you on almost all days, very few exceptions. We can hold this for you for anywhere from kind of 24 hours to a week to give you the time to make that final decision
especially
comfort.
For those that have to discuss it with another family member or something.
Absolutely. Some time to arrange that deposit, make that final decision, and go from there. The other thing as well, so if you're watching this video and kind of what James said, that went right over your head and you end up getting itchy fingers and booking yourself online, the next day you're like, man, I should have used Addison. Guess what? For 14 days after you book, as long as you just done a deposit and haven't paid in full, then we can actually assign myself as your concierge agent still. So there's a link on how to do that below. So we do prefer to kind of help you from the beginning. It's much easier for you to do that, but in case you get itchy fingers, it's not too late necessarily. Just have a look in the description below. There's a link about that as well.
Oh, perfect. And that really goes a long way, because then you're basically transferring that responsibility to Addison.
Yes,
now.
exactly. Yes. Yeah. Make it my burden, not yours. So
when I book my vacation, I'm gonna send it to you
That's
instead
right,
of
my
doing it over
burden. That's
myself.
right, yeah.
I would like my employee vacation to be dealt through with Addison. Thank you very much. I can tell you this about Addison. I've been fortunate enough to spend the last couple of days with him. He's very informative. Everything we do, he's trying to take photos, trying to take videos of any meal that we're at, any experience that we have. He's been by the pool. I mean, you can't tell because he's
my albino.
But he is here to experience the things, and that's one great thing about working with Addison, is that he is coming out to experience these resorts. So instead of just saying, "Oh, I read online that they have this, this, and this," he's here on the grounds, meeting with the general managers, meeting with me, meeting with the sales managers here, meeting with the bartenders, the servers, anyone that works here, and he's getting answers to questions. Just like you said, you've got your FAQ page.
Yes.
All that comes not because he copied and pasted from somewhere. It comes from him actually, personally, in person, asking these questions, getting the answers that you guys need.
Absolutely. Anyone can read to you off a brochure, and yes, I will send you some beautiful brochures because I'd like to have those, but what I'll do is I will tell you what's not on those brochures and fill in the voids there. I travel to a lot of these resorts on my own for work, but I take my wife to these resorts as well, so I actually sometimes go not for work, and I actually am able to have that same, couples experience to see what that's like. Beaches resorts, I took my young boy, last year to beaches, Turks and Caicos, and so I've experienced the childcare. So parents are nervous about that sort of thing. It's not, I've heard that the nannies have this certification. I know what it's like to leave a 1-year-old for a couple of hours in here, and
that's your lifeline, right? Like that's nerve-wracking thing to leave, and it truly is. I recently just got back from Turks and Caicos, and I've spent most of my life working with kids, and their kids program is bar none one of the best in the world. And we don't have to go into it on this, but I'm sure you've got other videos and people can reach out. If you've got any kind of special needs children, 100% certified, especially with autism at beaches, and that's something I'm sure in future videos you can touch on.
We have one about it already. It's already on the channel. Yep.
So and that's something that you meet families that go on vacation for the first time in their life, and they've got a 17-year-old because you get a personalized beach buddy for them.
Yes.
And not just the childcare workers at the beaches are certified in autism. Actually, every employee on the grounds, including myself and any business manager for Sandals, they go above and beyond. They want that experience to be for everyone. And they want the experience of going to a resort to be for everyone.
Absolutely.
And they truly stand behind their word when it goes there.
Absolutely.
So guys, with that being said, I think we're going to wrap up here. I know, keep an eye out on any social media and plenty of other videos coming in the future from Addison. But thank you so much for stopping by at Sandals Grande Antigua, and I hope everyone has a great rest of the day.
Take care, guys. It's been a pleasure.